So welcome, Tony.
Thank you, Leslie.
I'll grab water.
Good evening, everyone. So, for those that have been here when I've talked before, it's known that I'm not a speaker. And so, you want to cut across? So Stacy came up with a topic that she knows is important to me, and hoping that I can provide and speak on it intelligently, because normally if I just have a script and it's not something I'm compassionate with, I suck. And maintenance is important. And we're doing a case study, in her words, extremes. Those that were extremely not diligent, and then in her case, she thinks I am an overachiever. And we'll prove that I'm not an overachiever. And the fact is, the reason every time I've overachieved that I've shared with her is usually I was sharing with her because I was regretting for overachieving. Because it didn't work out like I'd hoped. And then, of course, she's wanting us to find the Goldilocks, which I had to get a definition of, and then I had to remember the story. Not too hot, not too cold, just perfect. So we're trying to find the perfect balance. And that balance, I think, is going to be different for all of us. So, where is her clicker? Oh. This is a property that was self-managed initially. That doesn't look too bad, huh? I'm telling you, it's bad. The sewer backed up. There was no heat. Went in there and during the winter time, and they were using a propane heater indoors. A little bit further, total of 8 to 10 vehicles on site. Here, I think this is your Volkswagen, buddy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that looks like Volkswagen show.
So so there was a portfolio of these. Any improvements that were done without permits. The workmanship was poor, and it wasn't to code. And there was substantial concerns with any attempt to make these improvements. And in a lot of cases, the improvements were done by the tenants themselves, probably to save money. Maybe a rent credit. And we're going to talk about, can anybody think of a potential problem with giving a tenant a credit towards a rent for doing repairs?
1,000.
1,000. And there's a Datsun on there too. That's a good one. So at some point, this property owner with a portfolio of rentals, like I said, he was self-managed. Then he appointed one of his tenants. He delegated. So he said, "Mr. Volkswagen, can you oversee my rentals? Can you collect the rent and handle them and give them to me?" And I think in this case, that he did not have his best interest in heart. And I don't think that rents that were collected got to that property owner. And so as we can see, the conditions diminished. This is looking pretty good. They became an absolute public nuisance. The neighbors, these are all properties we listed, by the way. They came out in droves as you're by there. What's going on? And then you tell them what you're going to do, and I go, "Thank God." We had code enforcement violations on all these, all ignored, nothing done about it. Sorry, I got some notes here. And one of the things I want to talk about, to make good maintenance decisions, we have to have confidence. We either have to have confidence in ourselves to understand what's going on and make a good decision, if we have a manager, we have to have confidence in our manager to make those good decisions. We have to have confidence in the contractor. And that lack of confidence, whoever is at fault or whatever the circumstances are that cause that lack of confidence, will make us second guess our question or second guess what we do. And sometimes that isn't a good situation. Now, so I wanted to give an example of one where I've lost a little confidence. So I had a toilet clog. The property manager sent a plumber. And I wouldn't send a plumber for a toilet clog, but the reason they do is because if they send a handyman, they plunge it, it clears up, and then a day or two later it clogs up again. Now you gotta send that plumber to go snake the line. So not really understanding how far it is, they sent a plumber. In my case, the plumber charged me $250 to unclog the toilet. No other problems found. 3 days later, that same plumber goes out to a clogged toilet. $250 to unclog that toilet. Same toilet. 4 days later, the tenant or the plumber responds to a clogged toilet. $467 for a new toilet. So within a week's time frame, I spent $1,000 on this freaking toilet. I lost confidence. I lost confidence in the people that were making those decisions. And I contacted them. I said, this is Toro Caca. This isn't right. Yeah, literally. No Toro, but Caca. And they had an opportunity to make it right, and they didn't make it right. The vendor didn't make it right. And so now I'm on guard. I don't have the confidence. And then fast forward a month later, I got another issue. There was a miscommunication. I did make a mistake. There was a problem. That the dang invoice, the guy described the work to be done instead of the work that was done. So I looked at an HVAC invoice that's for $467 or something like that, that said, needs cleaned, you got burned wires and some other repairs. That's what the invoice said. I'm like, what the heck? He charged $400 some to just tell me it needs fixed? Like, why didn't he fix it? And they're like, oh, he did fix it. But then I was complaining about another thing, and I got the 2 emails up, and they said, oh, we have techs out there replacing it right now. And I was like, well, you got techs replacing my furnace? Like, are you even licensed? Anyway, so then I went to like 100 miles an hour pretty quick and was upset. But that's what happens when you lose that confidence is, you can get there quick. So I think having the confidence, build that confidence team, right? And if you don't have that confidence, you got to make some changes, in my opinion. Oh. Not bad. Yeah, that one's good.
That was all yours. Yeah, no, I know that.
Yeah,
That was a wholesale.
yeah, sure. Yeah, all these were wholesale deals. All right, so the results, the tenants paid whenever they wanted. Imagine that, right? And they paid the amount they wanted. Eventually, they stopped paying. In one case, that one where he had the big skeleton out in front, that tenant subleased rooms for a good price. Come to find out, he was collecting all the sub rent from all those subtenants, keeping himself and not paying the landlord. The results in this portfolio was a loss of about $1 million in value. And the homes became huge liabilities. There was a fire that started from improper electrical work because work improvements were made without permits and people did things that they didn't know what they were doing. Fire department came down there and condemned it, yet still people lived there. They lost tens of thousands in rent, had huge legal expenses to get these tenants out. In some cases, they were contested. Let's see. I think in all cases they were contested. Fortunately, no claims of equity. Equity claims is a nightmare at court. So, a really common example of an equity claim is a lease to own. Nothing to do with maintenance, but you hear about it. You say, hey, the rent is $2,000 a month. I'm gonna charge you $1,500. $500 of it goes towards the purchase of the home. And they write it up that way, and then it goes bad, and then you go to evict. And then the tenant goes to the judge and says, I have an equity stake in the property. Now your eviction is not happening. So if you ever do a lease to own, consult an attorney. And it's been a while since I've had that conversation with the attorneys, but what my recollection was is you have two documents, never cross-referencing each other. You have a rental agreement and you have a purchase and sale agreement. All right, and then let's see, I have another example. Oh, well, the work. You know, they could take that, they could say, well, I did all this work. Well, they did do that in lieu of being paid. And so I have an equity stake in the property. Again, that's problematic. Judges, if you've been to eviction court, they are many of them are social workers as much as they are a judge. And as again, just a reminder, we lost over $1 million in value with these. Preventative maintenance, biannual inspections. I encourage everyone to at least go in, have somebody, if you have a manager, you're doing it yourself, go in every unit at least 2 times a year. Those little walkthroughs are going to tell you a lot about the property. It's going to tell you how well they're taking care of it. It's going to identify unauthorized pets or unauthorized tenants. You're going to find things, but you're also going to find repair things. And a lot of times we're talking about stupid repair things. A doorstop costs $2. But if you don't replace it, what's it going to cost you? It's going to cost you, you know what it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you a hole in the wall. So replace that doorstop. Caulking, you know, look underneath all of the sinks because there's leaks that go on that I don't know how, but they don't know what's going on. And so you got to go in there and you got to look. On the HVAC, I recommend spring and fall. And I wanted to give an example of a 90s property that I know that these people had done biannual maintenance on that system from the beginning. And they have units that are still running today. So I know that the preventative maintenance works. The problem with that, it's not a real problem, but I just wanted to set up expectations. If I was to sell that same fourplex today with that aged equipment, they're going to hire a third-party inspector. The third-party inspector is going to say, this equipment is going to last roughly, and they say 12 to 18 years. This has exceeded that life expectancy, and then put that buyer on notice that these could fail at any time. And most likely and most reasonably, a buyer is going to want something to deal with this system that could fail anytime. My concern about HVAC is like everything else, and we'll talk about appliances and we'll talk about water heaters. They don't make them like they used to. And so my personal feeling is, and knowing that I'm going to have something to negotiate when it comes time to sell, but I will repair till I can't repair. You'll find in these appliances nowadays, you can't find the parts. They just aren't making them. So then you got to replace. But, and then you should have a filter program. I mean, changing them twice a year isn't suffice. So, you know, have some kind of a filter program. And you guys can shout at any time if you got questions.
Tony?
Yes, sir.
With the HVAC, Is it, make sense to offer a home warranty upon sale to try to
Yeah.
overcome that?
Yeah, so you're gonna negotiate. Have you ever dealt with a home warranty?
I've never done a claim, but I never want to deal with that. I'm sure it's a nightmare.
It is, yeah. There's people that are completely satisfied with a home warranty, but it's only for a year. Then you gotta renew it, right?
You can't do like a 5-year on an HVAC system for,
I think their fees are annually based,
oh, okay.
You
yeah.
have to repurchase.
And so, yeah, they will Band-Aid, while it's under warranty through their programs, they will Band-Aid the heck out of it until it, well,
So
they'll
they won't
just,
replace it.
they'll do everything they can not to. Yeah. And they contract out with all these, with the lowest cost people they can. The HVAC guy that I dealt with years ago was based like out of Mountain Home, and he's like, well, I come to Boise on Thursdays. So I'll be there on Thursday, so meanwhile, you're 5 days without it. So I'm not a big fan of them, but I am a big fan of using them in negotiations. All right, so roofs, inspect regularly. You get the right roofer, they can be done for free. There's roofers out there who will do them for free. Now, they may get tired of it, or they may say, you're good for 3 years, whatever. I mean, try to get it free. If not, they'll charge. And obviously, I don't think you do. I mean, if you just bought the house and it's 5 years old, you probably don't need to inspect right away, but get it scheduled at some point and then just monitor. They'll kind of give you an idea. Repairs are inexpensive. Roof repairs are inexpensive. So again, another example of a property that was built in the 90s that would have annual roof inspections. And gosh, it was a 3-tab roof. So 20-year roof. And they got 30 plus years out of these. And so, yeah, they had to do some so if there was a granular loss, but it seemed to be kind of like lot specific. So like this bundle, it was just in this group, like everything else was good, but this group fell. So they spent $250 and replaced this little section and got more life out of it. They were doing the caulk and they were doing this, they were all these little tiny little costs. They were able to get this roof to last 30 years where most people with 3-tab roof aren't seeing anything like that. So I do think having those inspections and having those little repairs done will pay off. If you replace your roof, I recommend hiring a third-party inspector. So when we buy a property, we always recommend a third-party inspector. They go into all the places none of us want to go. They find things, whatnot. Well, those same inspectors will just do a roof inspection. I replaced my roof. I had a 50-year roof that lasted not quite 20 years. If you ever want to know how the warranties work for roofs, that's a long discussion, but I will tell you that it's not what you think it is going to be. Took me 2 years. And then the amount that I got was less than, it's about 7% of the total cost to replace. I did everything right. So anyway, it's $285 to inspect that roof. I guarantee you that is the return on that investment to inspect that roof is great. They are going to find whether it's curled shingles, whether it's exposed nail heads, the flashing, the kick out flashing, they're going to find things. You're going to be money ahead. So when you get that roof replaced, hire those guys for them $285, and then go back to that roofer and say, here's the things. And I'm pretty sure you're going to be pleased that you did that. No, it's not. Yeah, and I would. And when they come, so you get them, I don't know how long you have them, a couple hours maybe for the 285, but have them go in the attic. So not only the roof, but one of the things that you catch all the time when we do these home inspections, we find all of these vents that did not get reconnected. So the bath vents, all these, the worst is the dryer ducts that actually vent through the roof. Those get disconnected. So now you're pumping warm, moist air in your attic. And so checking to make sure those all got connected is going to save you tons of money and time, down the road and heartache. So get those inspected. Gutters are cheap, really cheap. Most houses are not, they're putting what code requires, over the doorways and whatnot. So you'll see this entire fascia going across with no gutter. And over time, as that water runs down that drip edge, you're gonna have damage to the fascia. Maybe it goes down the fascia and into the soffit and then into the siding. It takes years for it to show up, but it will show up. So if, like I said, gutters are cheap. And I jumped my notes, I'm sorry. Get them cleaned and sealed. That's the other thing. So, I mean, you got the gutters, but they're all full of crap. And so they're backing up and overflowing and you're gonna have the damage. And I think we got some pictures, some examples. So Stacy wanted me to tell you about my overachieving gutter thing. So I new fourplex, newer, probably 2014. I kept having unknown water source through one of the front windows. So I'd go in there and they'd clean it up, whatever. And over time, I was like, hey, there's something going on here. Where's this water coming from? And it had a breezeway entrance, very small little roof. But the way the building worked is the water was shedding off the main structure onto this roof and then going to a section that was like 3 feet by 3 feet. So it was a lot of water. And it would just roll down that corner and then come down the trim, hit the top of the trim of the window. Probably didn't seal the window properly. That's what was causing the leak. I had siding damage, whatnot. They gave me a bid for $1,500, I don't remember, to repair my damaged siding, my trim, and seal that window. So I went on site because I was like, oh my gosh, $1,500. Let me see if I can't figure out how to do this for less. And I spent 6, 7 times that, because what I did was I got there and I'm like, I'll explain how. I'm like, well, duh, there's no gutters here. So it's all this rain from those 2 gigantic roofs are coming onto that, dropping here, going there. So got to do gutter here, gutter there. And I walk around the property. I'm like, oh gosh, there's no gutters all the way on the back. Well, eventually that's going to be problematic. So I said, we got to do gutters all the way around and then fix the trip. But I have 3 buildings in that complex. So even though the other ones didn't have this problem because maybe the way they were oriented, the wind driven rain or whatever, but I went ahead and did all 3. So yeah, I went to go save $1,500 and spent 10 grand. But I don't like water damage. So that would be an example of what she thought was overachieving. Maybe I was. I'm not sure. All right, let's see, what pictures do we have here? So there's some pictures of some fascia. If you look on the top right, the fascia is toast, the soffit is falling. You can see that there's no gutter here. This is a pitched roof, so that's not going to get a gutter. That's just probably from up above from the gutter where it was overflowing, coming down, hitting the brick, and then as you can see, it's just rotting out. So pay attention to those gutters, alarms. So I put water alarms in my rentals by the water heaters, by the dishwashers, by the washing machines, by the furnaces, if they have a condensate pump or what have you. Yes, ma'am.
Hardwired or battery?
Battery. And I just discovered that it seems anyway that those manufacturers got that figured out. So, I don't know if everybody notices that their CO and their smoke detectors age out, they expire.
Yeah.
And then they just start beeping until you replace it. Well, they're doing that with the water alarms now. I don't know how long they last, but yeah, they just start beeping and you change the battery and they just keep beeping, so you just replace it. I think money well spent. And then, of course, smoke detectors. Biannual interior inspections, catching it, the neglect, the tent, the pets, all that I was talking about, the door stops, the alarm, battery alarms, so the tenants. You'll go in and you'll find a missing CO or smoke detector because it was beeping and it annoyed them, and so they took it off. And so this is your time to protect your property and the tenants, even though it's their responsibility. Replace those batteries, get those detectors working. Carpet seams, again, just something simple. A carpet seam that's starting to separate and fray, if you can catch it before it just gets shredded, it can be repaired for very little cost. But if you don't catch it, they're not going to tell you. Then you're going to have a carpet replacement because they just can't stretch it to make up that difference anymore. So these walkthroughs twice a year can save you a lot of money, and you're going to catch a lot of things. To me, it's just a slam dunk good idea. Water heaters, I hate. And this is a problem of where I have the confidence issue and how I have a hard time with the overachieving. So I replaced the water heater. It was 25 years old because it was 25 years old. It was working. There was no problems, but it was 25 years old, and it's like, good Lord, yeah, let's replace it. And then the replacement went out in less than 2 years.
Well,
And I'd buy a new one. And I'm like, well, why the heck would I want to replace any more water heaters if the new ones suck that bad? And that's how I feel about the washing machines, the dryers, the dishwashers. None of them last like they used to. And so I repair until I can't. And unless it's ugly, if it's really dated and ugly, then yeah, I'll do it. But they just don't make them like they used to. And they just fail. I mean, we did a whole bunch of new construction when, oh gosh, I can't remember what year, but there wasn't any good multifamily on the market, so we were doing a lot of single family. A lot of the big production builders weren't allowing non-owner occupants to buy them. Once we found somebody that was, we got in there, and those appliances, I mean, brand new construction, and those appliances were dying within 2-3 years. Just amazing. I did the water heaters. Look behind my notes here. Painting. Keep the painting up, right? And like I said, I've got one particular building. It's an apartment building by Boise State. I've painted the south facing side 3 times to the one time I've painted the north side. I'm keeping the color the same, but the north side looks brand new, but the other side's not. And I got here, paint by color. So a lot of these new sidings, paper wrapped, stamped, pre-primed. When you paint them with the paint guns, they don't need a lot of paint to look really good. And so they don't put a lot of paint on them, and they look good until a few years later. And if you let that fry in the sun, and then that paper starts burning up, and then you get into the OSB or the whatever the engineered wood product is behind it, it will never look the same again. You can prime it, you can do whatever you want, it will never look the same again. So with those products, just keep those painted all the time. And on the interiors, I like using exterior rated paint. Anybody else find that to be a good trick?
Is it
Not
a
a-
little cheaper, Tony?
It's not cheaper, no.
Oh, it's not.
No, yeah, it's more expensive, but interior paints have UV inhibitors and a little more durable, right? So I find that during turnovers, I can scrub on them a little easier without it coming off. And then, yeah, over time, you just don't have the changing of the color as much. So if I get the choice, I'm picking an interior rated paint or exterior rated.
To go inside.
Mhm. Yep,
That's a good hat.
exterior grading, so almost every inspection that we see calls out the grading from the property. Older properties, it's settled and it's, you'll see a lot of it where the grade's negative, so coming right to the property. Back in the nineties, early 2000s, when these guys were building this stuff, they put a sprinkler head right next to the foundation. And so you're having a lot of problems. Grading is cheap, easy to do. It's gonna be called out on the inspection. Stacy wants me to bring up my overachieving and how I caused a lot of heartache because I went too far with it. But my own personal home, after 20 years, everything had settled. I had some flat, if not negative grading. My soaker hoses, the valve, I'm on irrigation water. That valve got slimy and yucky and it stuck. And so they stayed on for a couple days till I noticed I had standing water around. And that caused some efflorescence through the stem walls of the garage. So when I tackled my grading issue, I dug 4 feet down next to the foundation. I sealed it and then rebuilt it way up. And as I was doing this, I came across a couple sprinkler valves, or not sprinkler valves, the low voltage line for the valves. I hit them, but I didn't realize I had really nicked them that bad. So it wasn't until later I was like, what's going on over on station 7? And then I had to go back and find where I had nicked it and patch it. I hit low voltage lines for my landscape lights. I broke a couple sprinkler lines, being a little too aggressive. So that's my example of overachieving and hacking it up. In fact, there's one area of my landscape lights that I never could find the other end of the wire. So somewhere I have a low voltage line that just ends to nowhere because I just ran a new line to it. I was like, I can't find it. I mean, I dug and dug and dug.
How low or how, if someone's doing something like that and wants to do it in a way that's done with care, precision, like you did, do you have, would you recommend 2 feet? 4 feet is just 2 feet shy of.
Yeah, you probably don't need to. You probably don't need to seal. You probably don't need this. I went as far as till I got to the black that they put in when they did it. So, and that varied. I wanted to stop the efflorescence in the garage, even though I think, as long as my soaker hoses don't get stuck on again, I'm good. So I kind of overachieved around that garage area just because I wanted to stop that. You don't want to go up too high. And then the home inspector told me, I hope you didn't seal all the way up. And I was like, well, yeah, I did. And he goes, well, so the stuff in the ground, the concrete wicks the moisture up and it follows up that wall till it has a place to get out. And he's like, so if you sealed it all the way up, where's it going to get out? I was like, yeah, thanks. I don't know where it's going to get out. I guess I was like, I got it sealed so well, it's not going to get in. I don't know. But you don't want to go all the way up to the siding, and then perimeter vents, put the galvanized perimeter vent wells in there, keep that grading out, keep those all open. That's another thing that we always see is, the perimeter vent half covered and, bark or rock or whatever, or all the way covered, put those perimeter vent wells in and allow that airflow to go through.
Probably some of us are tired of doing something.
Don't. Pet policy. Really? Right? My gosh. So I'll give you another example. So I got these apartments off of State Street and I have no idea how this guy found me, but he's like, do you own these apartments? I'm like, who are you and what's this all about? He's like, well, I'm renting here and your property manager can't fix I smell cat. And I call them and they come tell me that I don't have a problem. And it's killing me. And I'm like, all right, so I show up, kind of get a hint. And then I go room to room and I just start looking at the MDF baseboards. And then I saw the swollen baseboard here or there. Went right to it, stuck my nose to it. Oh, yeah. Pulled the carpet back, tack strips black, found it. I was in that place less than 2 minutes and I found it. That cat urine, we called it the cat house. We had a listing where the cats had urinated everywhere. And everybody always tries the least amount of work to fix it. It's how we usually do it, right? And there is no least amount of work. You got to replace it. If that trim got the urine in it, you have to replace that trim. If the floor is soaked, you have to seal it. And all these flooring guys, everyone that we've ever used, uses Odor Ghost. And I'm here to tell you, they mark it up. They make a lot of money on it. The reason they like it is you put it in the Hudson sprayer. You don't have any masking. You don't have to worry about anything because you can just spray it on the wall. You just spray it and you just walk through it. You can treat the whole house in less than an hour. So your labor is very low and you're charging just as much as if you were doing it with kills. It doesn't work. It has a masking quality to it. It has these enzymes that are supposed to help neutralize it, but I've never seen it successfully neutralize them. Once the masking disappears, then you smell. So pull them up, replace those tack strips. I use the oil-based kills and seal those floors. So I bring up the pet policy.
Just rent to cat owners. I mean,
Yeah,
it's obvious.
yeah. I mean, like I have this, all the property managers say is, I don't remember the percentages, but it's a very high percentage. You're gonna get a better rent and it's gonna rent faster if you allow pets.
2/3.
I agree to it. I agree with it. Get a pet deposit, charge pet rent, unless of course it's an emotional support animal. And then, I always say, if they're a good, strong applicant, they're generally a responsible pet owner. So make sure your criteria is such. If you're having low criteria, I think your chances of having more damage caused by the pets is higher. That's just Tony. I have no proof of that other than 30-some years of dealing with the worst nightmares you can imagine. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, so my sister's a pet owner.
Yeah.
Told me what I should do with pet policy. So I always request pet references from the previous landlord.
Yeah.
Make sure there's.
Yeah, that's great. Great advice.
I asked them to do a pet. When I need that.
Okay.
If it's a puppy or just a big,
That's overachieving. That's good.
yeah.
I think it's prudent.
I'm like.
And they're. Does anybody get the Boise Dev?
Yeah.
Yeah, so did you guys, there was an article within I think the last week where, angel money came in to these investors for this company that's got a pet screening company. Right out of here. Yeah, like they got $5 million.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a number of companies out there that do that pet screening. And so what the property managers will do is they'll charge that fee that goes to those people that do the screening. If it's an ESA, it's free. But they check, they have their checklist, they got the shot records, this, that, all of that good stuff. So probably money well spent using them. Yes, ma'am.
The nice thing with pet screening, because we use it, is even with the service animal letters, pet screening requires them to get a new doctor's note each year.
Okay, there you go. And I think I covered that. So, did I skip? Okay. If the property gets damaged and needs replaced, this is probably the time to consider your upgrades. That's how I do it. Like the carpet's toast. Well, now maybe I want to upgrade to LVP. Cabinets, countertops, what have you. My example of the overachieving is is my $2,000 shower surrounds. Where I'm like, okay, one, if I'm gonna upgrade it, I wanna put tile, make it look modern. And I wanna take that tile and I wanna go past the tub. Because of those splash guards they don't work. Well, because those don't work, and I'm putting the tile in, now I'm tearing out the floor, and I want to put tile on the floor, replace my baseboards with tile, because like we said, MDF doesn't like moisture, so it's just gonna blow up, so I'm putting tile on the baseboards. Well, if I'm tearing all that floor up, then I might as well do the vanity and the sink, and I'm doing that, I might as well put on a new mirror, and so my $2,000 shower surrounds end up costing me eight grand. And now I'm going a new way on my one bedrooms by BSU. It's like none of those tenants care about a tub. So now I'm getting rid of the tubs and just putting a walk-in shower, which gives it even a more modern feel. And I'm getting rid of those old cast iron tubs. Yes, sir.
Your last bullet there about remodeling and ROI and the criticism doesn't seem to work out. What's your comment?
Yeah, let's go to that example. So I've got a fourplex. What part of town? By the airport area, Orchard. And so I spent $20,000 on a remodel. And talking to everybody, looked like I was gonna be able to get $250 more in additional rent with the remodel. So what I did was I removed some walls to kind of open up the floor plan. And cabinets, kitchen cabinets, appliances, and flooring. And light fixtures, bath fixtures. It really made a big difference. I mean, it really showed so much more well, because there was this wall that separated the kitchen from the great room, and removing it just, oh my gosh, it really made a big difference. I was pretty excited about it. And so I used my added value. If I get $250 per month, if my GRM is 170, 42K in added value. But after the remodel, we tried the 250 and we didn't get it. We kept going down and down and down. And I ended up getting looks like 150 extra in rent. So I didn't get the rent I wanted. After 5 years of that last remodel, the rent differential between my older refreshed units and this remodeled unit is now just $100. So it almost like I got one coming up, and I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna do it. I think I'll just refresh it, do the LVP, do this and that, but I'm not gonna. Most of that money was tearing out that wall and then, fixing the flooring and the ceilings and those joints that you can't tell there was a wall there ever again. Some electrical issues. There was some electric on there. So I don't think I'm gonna do it again. And then I just gave you the example about my baths. I don't like those cheap 3-piece shower surrounds. They leak, they cause problems. Every time you go in there, you go in the tub, and every time I walk a house, I go into those surrounds and I go right where that flange goes over the top of that tub, and I push in there. And if it's moving, and if you hear crunching, then you really know.
Is that the FRP or whatever product, the 3-piece, is that like a fiberglass?
Fiberglass, plastic, I don't know what they're all made out of, but yeah, you got those 3 joints.
Like the marble look that's a little thicker.
Oh, well, those seem to work, and we actually had a problem with one of our deals, where they put the bladder down underneath it, and that had failed, but they put that kick plate in there, and for not very much money, they were able to get in there and get that fixed right away. I think the marble holds up if it's done right. I've been just going with tile to give it some, that new modern look. Tearing out the drywall, so that's the other thing, so I'm tearing out the drywall, putting in the blackboard, which nobody does anymore, but I like the blackboard. I just trying to make the dang thing waterproof, because they don't tell you when they got problems. So I just do everything I can to just, imagine you take a fire hose in there and it just holds up. If I can get that to work, then I'm not gonna have any problems. But But yeah, what do they call that? But like, we used to call it Sun Valley Marble, but they're not doing that anymore.
I don't know what it's called. You can get it at Home Depot or something, just
Yeah.
comes in sheets. right?
Yeah,
You cut
exactly.
through it.
And as long as you seal those joints properly, right? I think you're good. All right. Goldilocks. This is, Stacy's thoughts on what we're supposed to try to accomplish here. You know, trying to find that middle ground from overachieving from underachieving. You know, all those pictures of the underachieving is a horrific example. Overachieving could just be wasteful in money. So your main priorities are going to be tenant safety, right? She's got the detectors issues. By doing this, you know, you're going to have fairly clean inspection reports. I don't like deferred maintenance, but there's some things that make sense to defer. But when you do go to list, you're going to want to address the deferred stuff. Usually, especially the easy and cheap stuff to attack. My inspections, I love. I don't know how many inspections I've gone through, but it's thousands. And I follow those inspectors and I see what they're identifying and I learn from it. And so what Stacy says, oh, you're just as good as the inspectors. Maybe, but because I look at things just a tad bit differently. Those minor little things that are cosmetic actually could be, you know, like a carpet seam. That may not, some inspectors may not even call that out. I'm like, call it out. You don't let the buyer or the seller determine what's important, what's not, but call it out. When you're going through your third-party inspections, go through those with a fine-tooth comb. If you don't understand what it is, call them and ask them. Get other people's eyes on it and get their opinion, because what may look really minor could be costing you thousands and thousands of dollars down the road if not taken care of. I got a lot of notes here on the summary. I'll just follow these right here. You know, for the best ROI, always put tenant safety first, always, because a liability situation can close the doors. Property safety, inspect, perform preventative maintenance, don't defer maintenance needs as much as possible. If you have to replace, consider upgrading then. Find the balance between overachieving and underachieving. Rotate planning. That's good. That should say estate planning. And so I'm going to go a little off topic, but it does fit with the maintenance. We do a fair amount of estate work, and I will tell you that every time we do, I can't think of one where there wasn't some serious issues on maintenance. And so I just want to remind everybody to make sure you have your estate planning figured out. Even if you have a will or a trust or what have you, do you have the durable power of attorney? Do you have a medical power of attorney? And let me explain. So you have your will, you have your trust, whatever, everything's going good, but you don't have somebody that you can trust to handle. If you got hit by the beer truck on the way home from here and was incapacitated to some level, who's going to take care of the property and make sure that your best interests are taken care of? And without that, it's not being taken care of. And if it has to go to the courts and they have to find somebody, a lot of time's going by. So much time that when they call me to sell it, you have frozen pipes, you have the 200 pounds of salmon that was in the freezer that, because the power got cut off, has now made that place smell like you would never want to live there. Rodent infestations. I mean, if it's sat for years, depending on where it's at, can just take over and could potentially just ruin the entire property. Uh, give your copies of those wills, make sure that other people have it, because what we've also seen is where they did everything right, but then when the person passed, there had been some adjustments, handwritten adjustments. And so the whole will was in question, which then meant it had to go to the courts, and that caused a lot of time delays and costs that ended up. Well, in that case, not a lot. It didn't kill a lot of value, but could have. How many people own their own business? So something that happened within my circle is right before Christmas, the business owner fell down dead. He was the sole owner of the the business. Wife and 4 kids. They have no access to his money. It's frozen because he was the sole owner. So they're trying to figure out how to make the mortgage and everything else. So have that part figured out. And on that fantastic note. Do we need to go any further on that? I mean, do we understand? Like, I mean, if it's a family run business, then have your family as directors.
I'll just add, it's great advice. We are a family business. My dad started it. My dad was in a motorcycle accident. He was jogging, hit by a motorcycle in Italy, and declared incapacitated. And I thank God every day that when I was a little kid, we started talking about it. He had it set up, and then we have it set up for our kids that he's so moved. So.
Yeah, if you need any estate planning, we can give you some referrals. But yeah, if you got those businesses, have some directors so that if the unexpected happens, operations just don't come to a halt. We'll field some questions, and then I would like to discuss the rentals in the north end, if we can, if we have time.
Sure.
Do we have any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I have just a quick one on the pet screening company.
Yeah.
What's kind of an average cost for that? Like if we were to say, sign this lease, but need to pay, instead of a deposit, we want you to pay for this pet screening.
So they have to register their pet with pet screening, no matter the cost. So if it's me, I say it's free. If it's not, it's $30. And then they're still responsible to pay all of our pet fees.
Okay. So as far as the pet screening company, the $30 would cover kind of.
That covers the screening that they do, and they request vet records, and they have this scale, and I can even show it to you. If this animal has had issues at other properties, because once they're in a pet screening system, if they move to another property, the pet stays in pet screening. And I can go in and mark if a dog or cat has been naughty, and then their next place will see that, and they've used pet screening. And then they also base it off of size, weight, vaccination records.
And
Who do you use?
We go through pet screening.
Petscreening.com.
Yep.
And we use our pet policy. Similar.
Yeah, right. And so, and I think they're all the same, but their legal team will defend you if there's a fair housing complaint based on the screening of the ESA.
And the interesting thing is I've actually had them reach out to me and question somebody's ESA animals because they have 4 and we're moving into an apartment. And we have to go back and forth. Yeah, unfortunately, I do have to approve it, but thank you for even checking in on why somebody will have 4 ESA. Surprisingly, very much upfront.
It's a great third-party service that gets you out of it.
Really is.
Yeah. Yeah, good question, thanks.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Are the apartments getting absorbed? The new ones coming on?
Golly, I'm a little worried, and I so I have a couple commercial loans on my apartments, and so every year I have to fill out way too many documents. And I was updating my personal financial statement. And even though I go through my statements every month with a fine-tooth comb, I really wasn't paying attention to the gross rents. So I'm entering in the monthly gross rents in my PFS for their reporting. And as I'm entering them in, I'm like, well, that one's lower. Entering it, well, that one's lower. I mean, they were all lower except for one. I hadn't noticed it until I entered it in. And then, the values, almost not all, but a majority of them, I adjusted value down.
Tony, what's that email from a few days ago about the rent increases from last year? Remember,
No, sorry.
You know what the vacancy rates running at Ada County is average across the board?
Hmm.
Cause I know in Canyon, you've been saying 10.
Wow. There's different people that are putting out stats. I mean, and I'm trying to, Thornton Oliver Keller just released their numbers for multifamily, and I looked at it and I just remember going, wow, like I don't think small single family or small multifamily is that high. I want to say it was 6-7% vacancy, which I thought was high. But gosh, I had a tenant that moved in late summer. They always pay the first rent, right? Because they can't move in unless they pay it. But come month 2, struggle. Month 3, struggle. When month 4 came, I said, I ain't playing this game. So if they don't make it, I said, don't even call me, just file the eviction. And it was December. I was like, oh no, cool, let me know what the court date is. Maybe I'll go bring my Santa gift. So they got evicted. And now it's just sitting, it's not going. So that gets us in. I'm not in the game anymore. I'm almost 5 years removed from hands-on property management. I do asset management for almost 30 million. You don't want your leases expiring late fourth quarter, well, probably not fourth quarter at all. And get past March. So fourth and first quarters, avoid any lease expiration dates.
Your new builds. So
Yeah.
it's finished.
So
Yeah.
your incentives then, like I just give, I'm gonna give that first month up or at least a good amount of it just to get, when you offer that incentive, you're gonna hopefully get more applicants, pick the best person, get them in there. You can be so creative on the incentives, whether it's, a reduced like half off the first month, whatever that is. But then you can also do a kind of a schedule, the first 3 months it's this, then it steps up to this, and then, you just explain, we're below market and we're just gonna gradually get you up to market. But yeah, I would, if you're not aggressive, if you're not getting any calls, you have to do things to make the phone call, because they'll sit. This is just.
Yeah, I've never tried renting out a house before, because I have a 4-plex.
Yeah.
And the other one was a triplex, so we tore down. And, it's just, and I was doing Zillow and Facebook Marketplaces. They're kind of like, not really, they're a little bit flaky, really flaky. And so I got on Avail, so I'm on realtor.com, and the last 2 people that contacted me was through realtor.com. And Avail is one of the syndications.
Zillow, you on Zillow?
I'm on Zillow, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it's high end. It's got beautiful Pella wood windows and tile and wood floor. I mean, it's really high end, so it's more expensive rent.
So could be the price point.
Is it in the North End, you said?
Yeah, on 18th Street.
I know of a couple that's moving to Boise.
Oh.
What's nice North End?
Oh, they're beautiful. That's 2 right next door, and my sons built them, and I thought they both had to move out of town for work, and so the ADUs are rented out, but the houses are, they're gorgeous. It's beautiful. I mean, it was not built as a rental. It was built as a home for someone to live in permanently.
I would look at concessions.
I was $500 off. and market that and.
They just lower the rent, but,
Do a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes you can offer that move-in special, but keep your rent where you're at. You can work out the numbers and do the thing and look at the bottom line on each scenario and.
no, I'm just doing it myself, and so I didn't know if like I know that couple fellows looked at it a couple of days ago, and they're meeting here for Micron. And they have a realtor that is working with them, helping them find places, so I didn't know if that realtor getting a big commission if you find the rental for these folks, or, am I doing all I can? Or.
Most likely not in Idaho,
Yeah,
so,
they're probably gonna buy a house for them.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you go to other states where licensing is required for property management, there's also a cooperating broker commission. I mean, there's people out there that they don't even really manage property. All they do is place tenants and make the commission, which I always thought, well, that'd be the way to go. Now, you just place the tenant, then you don't have to worry about it. They don't call you when the toilet clogs up 3 times in a
Well,
week.
they may not place the best tenant either. It's like they might look good on paper, but it's nice to meet them. You get a good intuitive sense.
Sure.
What you could do in that situation is, let's say the placement fee is $800. Well, yeah, you're gonna pay them $400 or $500 for the placement, but they're gonna get paid the extra money like that month 6 and even well, because we're not out of incentive for the tenant, the placement is important.
Well, from my Google search, I think it was like 1 month's rent, so it was quite a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
For a high-end property, it's significant.
Depends who you talk to.
Yeah,
I found it. Boise rents declined 2.3% in December, month over month, the largest decline in the nation.
Interesting.
Oh, that was an article.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. I remember that now.
Danielle, maybe we might know this too, but are the cash buyers still showing up for buying real estate?
Still have quite a few.
I'm sure I hate to lose that pipeline from California.
I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So the
Hey.
magic date is March, is when everything picks up.
It starts warming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long do they?
Really just a few weeks from like
Oh.
December and January, but I'm so used.
Yeah.
Two blocks from Hyde Park and they rent out like that, so I'm probably spoiled.
Yeah.
As far as finding tenants, but.
I don't know if I do a movement special.
Tired, so.
Yeah.
And you have 2, right?
I have a fourplex and the triplex that we had, we tore that down and it was 2,500 lots. We split it. And so when there's a home and an
Yeah, sure.
ADU on each.
How many units are available?
There's 2 homes,
Just 2 homes.
yeah.
Whatever incentive you do, I would do different on each one. And then see which one works best.
Well, I've only been actually listing one at a time because they're next to each
Okay.
other.
Yeah, that makes
So,
sense.
There's fewer on the market, and then I know with Zillow, if people are looking for something, they get a notification, oh, there's a new
Yeah.
home that's been listed, so then also, I kind of will list one at a time, and after like a month, I'll list the
Right.
other one and take.
I don't know if this is kosher, but sometimes what I do is I take it off Monday or Tuesday,
Mhm.
and then I put it back on Thursday, so it pops up in the minutes.
Is that all it takes? Is a few
That's what I've
days?
done. I don't know if it's, you can do that.
Well, if they allow you to do it, I guess they
That's-
allow you to do it. And it makes great sense to me. Yeah,
Yeah.
so if it's pushing and it's a new notification, I see how that is
And you remind
advantageous.
people.
Yeah, because they get a notification in their inbox. Even if they just say possible.
Okay, any other questions? I bore everybody to death.
You told me on hiring you to come inspect my house.
Yeah, no. I already inspected your house.
That's true. That's why I need your eyes again.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah.